So are there any from, you talked about that tone and how you talk to people. Are there any, I know that you guys have your clients locally, but have there been any national messaging that you could point to that you could say, you know what, that knocked it out of the park? Like if you're thinking through tone,
Mm.
this is what you need to be looking at. Is there anyone that has been a really great example of that for you?
Yeah, I think there's been a couple. Nationwide did a really good campaign. I'll give you two great examples and two kind of rotten examples, and I won't tell you the names of the rotten ones. Nationwide did a really good campaign where they had the current self tell future self what to remember about this time if they looked at it like 6 months from now. So very similar to what you would do if you were to write yourself a letter in the future. And it was really cool because this was done early on in this whole thing, and it helped to put a positive spin on this entire situation at a time when nobody really knew what the positive spin could be because it was so fairly fresh and new. And so that's pretty bold to do that when nobody really knows what's going on yet and everybody's still scared. Is that they actually leapt ahead and said, "There's something good in this. There's some silver lining." And so they leapt ahead and they put out a great, hey, future self, I want you to remember these things because one day this is going to be in your rearview mirror. That was cool. I love that. And the reason why that messaging worked is because it gave people, it was very bold, but it gave people a sense of security at a time when it first happened. And it was literally within the first 2 to 3 weeks when everything started happening, back in kind of like the middle of March that they did this. And it was at a time when I don't think that there was much security or feeling of safety. And yet they were projecting a message that someday this will end and it's okay. We'll look back and there's some good things we're going to learn. So that was an example of tone and tenor, recognizing that there's going to be places where people, if you look at the messaging, there's going to be places where people if you get a really good feel for it, you can understand where people are or where they might be going over the next few weeks and be empathetic to that. That's exactly what I want people to pay attention to. I had another example about the same time. It came out and it was one of the major vehicle companies. And I have a vehicle with this company. And they said, they came out and they said, during this time, we're all in this together, which by the way, if anybody is going to do some sort of messaging, don't use those words anymore. They're like so overused. Personal opinion, but really, they're really overused at this point. But they said, we're all in this together. You can count on us company to be there for you. And we've done some things to step up for you during this time. And then they had a click here. And I was like, interesting. What are they doing? Click here went to an application an online application to buy a new car. And I was like, are you kidding me? When we're all freaking out, your way of showing people that you're here for them is to give them an application to buy a new car from you? That tanked bad. So I think those are two great examples of really looking at being empathetic. That's the key term. Be empathetic where people are at. Doesn't mean you need to sit there and grovel with them, but just recognize that your ability to understand where people are at and match it just a little bit can go a very, very long way.
That makes